I never imagined that a rule so simple could save your life at sea, and that breaking it could condemn you. My name is Daniel, and 2 years ago I worked as a radio operator on a deep-sea tugboat. It was my first real job after finishing technical school. I was 23, with very little experience, and way too much eagerness to prove myself. The tugboat was called Marlin 8. The captain was a hard man named Vasquez, mid-60s, sunburnt face, and a rough voice that sounded like it had scraped along too many cigarettes in too many storms. On my first day, he looked straight into my eyes and said, "There is one rule here that is not up for discussion. After 2 in the morning, you do not answer any radio call. None, no matter how desperate it sounds." I laughed nervously. I thought it was just some old sailor superstition. He didn't laugh back. "If you answer, you put all of us at risk, and there won't be any way to take it back." I should have asked questions, but I didn't. First night. Calm sea, small waves, nothing out of the ordinary. When it hit 2 a.m., the captain showed up in the doorway of the radio room. "Turn off the secondary channels. Just keep passive listening on until sunrise." I did what he said. I thought it was overkill, but I didn't argue. Second night, 2:10 in the morning. I heard something on channel 16, a long burst of static. Then, a faint voice. "Test. Anyone copy?" It was a man, a little too calm, heavy interference. My hand was already reaching for the microphone when I remembered the rule. I looked toward the corridor. The captain was standing there, watching me, making sure I didn't touch anything. The transmission died on its own. Before he left, he said just one thing. "It always starts like that. They test you first." They. Not other boats. Just they. Third night. It was almost 3 in the morning. I was fighting off sleep when the radio exploded in static. Loud. Aggressive. I adjusted the frequency on instinct. That was a mistake, because as soon as the interference dropped, I heard screaming. A woman, desperate, crying. "Help! My boat is sinking. There are children here. For the love of God, can anyone hear me?" In the background, I could hear kids crying, heavy thuds against the hull, water rushing in. It was horrible. I pressed the microphone without thinking. "This is tugboat Marlin 8. What's your position? Can you give us your coordinates?" Silence. Then, more crying. "We're close. Too close. Don't let us die." I asked for their location again. I asked about life rafts, if anyone was injured. She just screamed, cried, repeated that they were close. The door to the radio room slammed open. The captain ran in. "Turn that off, now!" Too late. I had answered. I had given them our location. The boat that didn't exist. We spent 4 hours searching. Nothing on radar, nothing on the surface. No lights, no life rings, no debris, and no record of any missing boat in that area. When the sun came up, the captain called me out on deck. He was pale. "Get ready. It's going to get worse." "Captain, what?" "You answered. Now they know you exist." He didn't explain anything else. He just went back to the bridge. Fourth night, 2:17 in the morning. The radio turned itself on. Even though it was powered off, even though it was disconnected from the battery. No static, no screaming, just a calm voice. The same woman. But now, she didn't sound desperate. She sounded like she was smiling when she spoke. "Hi, Daniel." I froze. I had never said my name on the radio. Never. "It's cold in there tonight, isn't it?" I looked down at my clothes. Blue hoodie. She kept going. "Blue looks good on you. Your captain thinks so too." My heart started pounding. "You left the door unlocked, Daniel. Why?" I spun around. The radio room door was half open. I had closed it. I knew I had closed it. I shut off the radio, yanked the cable out, flipped the unit over. It kept talking. We're almost there. I ran out onto the deck. The captain was already there. She marked you. Captain, what the hell is that? He stared out at the ocean. Black, completely still. Something that's been out here a very long time. Something that learned how to sound like us. That was all he said. Fifth night. The sea was dead. No wind, no sound. 3:02 in the morning. The radio started again. But this time, with a different voice. Mine. Marlin 8, I'm in the water. I need help. It was my own tone. Identical. Daniel fell off the deck. Send a boat. Hurry. The captain grabbed my arm. Stay away from the rail. What is that? Something that needs to be heard to exist. You answered. Now it knows you can hear it. The radio went on for minutes, imitating my breathing, my way of speaking, until it started laughing. A wet laugh, bubbling, like it was coming from underwater. I walked to the window. I couldn't stop myself. And I saw it. Something big, moving just under the surface, keeping pace with the ship. The shape was wrong, too long, jointed in places that shouldn't bend. And at the front, a face, pale, too many eyes, mouth open, smiling. The captain yanked me away. Don't look at it. The more you look, the more real it gets. He grabbed the intercom and shouted down to the engine room. Full power. We're heading back to port. Now. Then he turned to me, and for the first time I saw real fear in his eyes. 15 years ago, I answered the same call, same woman, same kids. I went looking for them. He took a long breath. 3 crew members disappeared that night. They just weren't on board anymore. No sound, no struggle. They were just gone. What does it want? You? Every radio on the ship exploded at once, and the voice was my mother's. Daniel, honey, why don't you come home? My mom had been dead for 3 years. It's so cold down here, so dark. Aren't you coming to see me? I started walking. I didn't want to, but my feet moved on their own. Toward the deck, toward the rail, toward the water. The captain tackled me, pinned me to the floor. Fight it, kid. She's in your head. My mother's voice kept going. Please, Daniel, I miss you so much. I shut my eyes, covered my ears, screamed until my throat burned. I don't know how long that lasted. When I finally opened my eyes, the sky was getting lighter. The captain was still next to me, and the radios were finally quiet. We reached port 7 hours later. I stepped off that boat and never went back. I never set foot on a ship again. I don't even go near the ocean anymore. But sometimes, the radio in my car turns itself on frequencies that don't exist. And when that happens, I always hear the same voice. Daniel, are you still there? Don't go. We finally found you. I moved to a different city. I changed my whole life. But she still knows my name. The captain warned me before I left. Once you answer, she never forgets you. If you work at sea, if you ever hear a distress call after 2 in the morning, children crying, a woman screaming, do not answer. No matter how real it sounds, no matter how many lives you think you're going to save, because there's no one out there. There never was. Just something that learned how to copy our compassion so it can drag us down. My name is Daniel, and I made a mistake that will follow me for the rest of my life. Maybe even after I'm dead. Don't make the same one.
I worked search and rescue for 11 years. Coast Guard, helicopter operations, overnight shifts. pulled people out of the water in storms in the dark in conditions you wouldn't believe. I've seen a lot. Bodies, wreckage, people who didn't make it. But there was only one time the radio lied to us. Only one time we found exactly what we were looking for, and wished we hadn't. This happened in 2023. I was the radio operator on a Jayhawk helicopter, Brazilian Coast Guard, Santos Air Station. We worked 12-hour shifts. Mine was overnight, 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. Most nights were quiet, maybe 1 or 2 calls, false alarms usually. October 12th, 2:14 in the morning, our emergency beacon receiver lit up. EPIRB activation. For those who don't know, an EPIRB is an emergency position indicating radio beacon. When a boat is sinking, the crew activates it. It sends a distress signal via satellite with exact GPS coordinates and the vessel's registration information. This one showed. Vessel name, Novo Horizonte, New Horizon. Home port, Cananea. Registered crew, 4. Position, 90 nautical miles southeast of Ilhabela. That area, we called it the South Triangle, deep water, strong currents. We'd pulled bodies out of there before. Our pilot had the helicopter spinning up in 9 minutes. Me on comms, 2 rescue swimmers in back. Weather was good. Light wind, 1-meter seas, full moon. Perfect conditions for a rescue. We lifted off at 2:23 a.m. 42 minutes of flight time. I spent it trying to raise them on the radio. Novo Horizonte, Novo Horizonte. This is Coast Guard helicopter PR Echo Tango Foxtrot. Do you copy? Nothing. Just static. That's not unusual. If their battery's dead or the radio's underwater, they can't respond. The EPIRB is designed to work even when everything else fails. We arrived at the coordinates at 3:05 a.m. And there was nothing there. I mean nothing. No boat, no debris, no life raft, no reflective vests in the water, just open ocean, black water under a full moon. But our receiver was still picking up the EPIRB signal, strong, close, right beneath us. The pilot circled. Our searchlight, 30 million candle power, swept the water. The rescue swimmers were leaning out the doors, scanning with night vision. Nothing. I kept calling. Channel 16, the international distress frequency. Novo Horizonte, Novo Horizonte, Coast Guard helicopter on scene. Please respond. 12 times. No answer. Then, at 2:59 a.m. exactly, someone responded. But not on Channel 16. The voice came through on Channel 68. Now here's why that's wrong. Channel 68 is a working channel. We use it for communications once we've already established contact with the vessel on 16, once we have visual confirmation. And Channel 68 is VHF, line of sight only. Maximum range maybe 30 miles in perfect conditions, usually less. We were directly over the coordinates. If someone was close enough to transmit on 68, we should be able to see them. The voice was male, calm, had that coastal accent from the southern ports. Echo Tango Foxtrot, this is Novo Horizonte. We're fine. EPIRB malfunctioned. You can return to base. I looked at the pilot. He was already shaking his head. Nothing on radar, nothing on FLIR thermal imaging, nothing visual. I keyed the mic again. Novo Horizonte, what is your current position? Immediate response. 90 miles southeast of Ilhabela. You're right on top of us. My skin went cold. We were right on top of them, and there was nothing there. I tried to keep my voice steady. Novo Horizonte, please ignite a flare so we can establish visual contact. 3 seconds of silence. Then a red flare shot up from the water, maybe 400 meters ahead of us. Standard parachute flare. Climbed to about 300 feet, deployed its chute, started drifting down. Burned for about 50 seconds. Bright red, exactly like it should. Pilot banked hard toward it, activating our main spotlight. That's when we saw them. 4 men, standing in the water, chest deep. Not swimming, not floating, not treading water. Standing. They were arranged in a perfect square formation, maybe 10 feet apart from each other, all of them looking up at us, at the spotlight. No boat, no debris, no life jackets, just 4 men standing in 90 miles of open ocean where the depth is over 3,000 feet. 4:30 to 6:15. The descent, I hit the internal comms. Swimmers, prepare for deployment. Both rescue swimmers started gearing up immediately. We train for weird situations. People in shock do strange things. Maybe they were standing on floating debris we couldn't see. Maybe it was some kind of optical illusion. But I went back to Channel 68 anyway. Novo Horizonte, we have visual. Deploying rescue swimmers now. Stay calm. Help is coming. The same voice came back, but quieter this time. Different. Too late. The flare was still burning, sinking slowly on its parachute, maybe 200 feet above the water now. And as I watched through the open door, the flare started to go out. Not because it burned out. It was still burning. I could see the flame. It was sinking into the water, while still in the air. And the 4 men started sinking with it. Not drowning, not swimming down, not being pulled. Descending, straight down, vertically, like they were standing in an elevator. Their heads went under, then their shoulders, then nothing. The water didn't even ripple. The whole thing took maybe 8 seconds. And the EPIRB signal, the emergency beacon that brought us here, cut off at the exact same moment. Complete silence on the radio. Nothing on our receiver. Nothing on radar. Just black water and the sound of our rotors. One of the swimmers shouted, "Deploy! Deploy now!" But the pilot was already pulling up, banking away. "Negative," he said over the intercom. His voice was shaking. "There's nothing to recover. We're RTB." Return to base. Nobody argued, not even the swimmers. We all saw the same thing. The flight back took 42 minutes. Nobody said a word. 6:15 to 8. The truth. The official report lists it as false alarm, defective EPIRB. Standard paperwork when a beacon activates, but there's no actual emergency. But I couldn't let it go. Next morning after my shift, I accessed the vessel registry database, pulled up everything on the Novo Horizonte. Fishing vessel, registered out of Cananea. 4-man crew. Sank on October 12th, 2017. Same date, same area, 90 miles southeast of Ilhabela. All 4 crew members lost. Bodies never recovered. The EPIRB that activated that night, the one that brought us there, was registered to that vessel. Status in the system: lost at sea. Presumed depth: 1,180 meters. I requested the original incident report from 2017. Took 3 days to get it. Coast Guard responded to the EPIRB activation 6 years ago. Got there in 45 minutes. Found nothing. No vessel, no survivors, no debris. But in the report, there was one detail that wasn't in our paperwork. The responding helicopter in 2017 reported hearing a transmission on Channel 68. Male voice, calm, coastal accent. "We're fine. You can return to base." I checked the crew roster from 2017. 4 names. I found obituaries for 3 of them online. The 4th name, the captain, I couldn't find anything. No obituary, no death certificate, like he'd been erased. Just his name in the registry, Marco Silva. I tried to find a recording of his voice, maybe a video, a TV interview, anything. Fishermen from Cananea sometimes do interviews about their catches. Found one. Local news story from 2015. Marco Silva talking about fishing conditions. It was the same voice from the radio. Exactly the same. That was 8 months ago. I don't work that shift anymore. I requested a transfer to day operations and stopped asking questions no one wanted answered. But sometimes, when I'm still at the hangar late, the ready room radio activates by itself. Not channel 16. Channel 68. Always at 2:59 a.m. Just static. And then a calm male voice saying, "You can return to base." Last Thursday, the transmission was different. It said, "We're right on top of you." I didn't answer. I just turned off the radio and closed the hangar door before looking toward the ocean. Across the bay, I saw 4 lights, red, in a perfect square.
Last summer, I was just trying to find a cheap jet ski to use on weekends. Nothing special, just something to unwind after classes. My name is Tyler, I'm 21, and I study engineering at UC San Diego. I never expected anything strange to come from a simple online listing. I found it on Craigslist, Yamaha VX Cruiser 2019, 40 hours of use, $1,200. It seemed like an insane deal. Most of those go for 8 or 10 grand easily. But back then, I didn't think too much about it. I met the seller at a marina in Oceanside. His name was Derek. He looked drained, thin, dark bags under his eyes and a kind of jittery tension in his hands. The jet ski looked perfect. Shiny paint, clean engine, not a single scratch. Before I could even ask anything, he said, "1,000 if you take it right now." Cash. It came out fast, too fast. I asked why it was so cheap. He took a long drag of his cigarette, stared at the water for a second, and said, "I just need it gone. It's not for me anymore." I didn't know what that meant, and he didn't explain. I handed him the money. He gave me the keys and paperwork, and when I looked up, he was already walking away. Quickly, almost urgently, without looking back. The first 2 weeks were perfect. Every Friday after class, I'd head straight to the marina. The jet ski ran beautifully. Fast, stable, responsive. I always parked it in the same spot, Pier C, slip 14, until one Friday. I showed up and it was in slip 22. I asked the marina staff if anyone had moved it. They checked the system. Nothing. No authorized movement, no notes, no explanation. I let it go. 3 days later, I left it in slip 22. Came back the next day, and it was in slip 9. This time I asked to see the cameras. The employee pulled the recording from the night before. 2:37 a.m. The pier was empty, absolutely still. Not a wave breaking. And then the jet ski started to move, slowly, smoothly, sliding across the water like someone was guiding it with perfect control. Except there was no one on it. No ropes, no shadows, no boats nearby. Just the jet ski gliding on its own. The employee paused the video. His voice got quieter. "This isn't the first time that jet ski's been here. Different owners. Same pattern." I asked him what he meant. He swallowed, shook his head, and said, "Nobody keeps it for long." He refused to say anything else. That night I checked the built-in GPS log. There were over 20 routes recorded that I had never taken, all between 2 and 3 in the morning, all starting at the marina, all ending at the exact same spot offshore. 33.1842 degrees north, 117.4289 degrees west. 12 miles out. Deep water. I looked it up on the map. Just ocean. Nothing else. No articles, no warnings, nothing. So I shrugged it off, for a while. A few nights later, at 2:15 a.m., my phone buzzed. Marina app notification, motion detected. Slip 14? I figured someone was trying to steal it, or maybe it was a false alert. I drove down there, and when I got to the pier, I realized I had no idea what I was dealing with. The jet ski wasn't in its slip. It was in the water, engine running, lights on, and the 3 padlocks I had used earlier that night were sitting neatly on the pier, still closed, not broken, not forced, just placed there. The jet ski was pointed toward open water, completely still, as if it had been waiting for me. I stepped onto it. I don't know why. It felt like I wasn't fully in control of that moment. The second I sat down, the throttle moved on its own, and we took off. I wasn't driving. The handlebars shifted under my hands, steering themselves. The throttle responded to commands that weren't mine. I glanced at the GPS. The route was already set. 33.1842 degrees north, 117.4289 degrees west. I tried shutting off the engine. The key wouldn't turn. I tried getting off. My legs felt locked in place. The coastline vanished behind me. The lights disappeared. Just black water and the sound of the engine cutting through the dark. After about 20 minutes, the motor shut off on its own. Everything went silent. I turned on my phone's flashlight. At first, all I saw was empty ocean. Then something orange caught the light. A buoy, old, weather-beaten, floating alone in the middle of nowhere. And below it, something tangled in the lines. I moved the light closer and froze. When my flashlight hit the water, something near the buoy caught the light. At first, I thought it was just a piece of rope or debris tangled around the line. It was only when the buoy shifted with a small wave that I realized whatever was under it had weight, real weight. I leaned in a little closer, sweeping the light across the surface. Most of it disappeared into the dark, but for a split second the beam caught on something pale just beneath the waterline, a shape that didn't look like fabric or equipment, more like skin. I wasn't sure at first. The water was moving, and the light kept bouncing. But every time the buoy tilted, the pale shape seemed to turn with it, slowly, as if it wasn't just drifting, but reacting. I tried to get a better look, but the moment I leaned closer, the water shifted again, and the shape dipped just below view. I only saw enough to know it wasn't supposed to be there. Not out in the middle of the ocean, not tied to a buoy like that. And when the light passed over the spot one last time, I could have sworn the angle of that pale shape had changed. Subtly, quietly, in a way that made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. I didn't wait to see more. I tried to pull myself together, but before I could even think about what to do next, the engine suddenly kicked on beneath me. Not violently, just a clean, steady ignition, like someone had turned the key. The jet ski pivoted on its own, pointing back toward shore. A moment later, it started moving. Not fast, not slow, just deliberate. I didn't touch the handlebars. I didn't try to fight it. I just held on until the marina came back into view. When I stepped onto the pier, my legs almost gave out. I tied the jet ski down as best I could and drove home without saying a word to anyone. I barely slept that night, or the next. I tried selling the jet ski, lowered the price, posted everywhere. Nobody came to see it. A few people messaged me, but every one of them backed out after getting the address of the marina. Some didn't even bother to explain why. I tried leaving it there permanently, stopped paying the berth fee, stopped checking on it. I started waking up in strange places after that. Once on the beach with sand stuck to my clothes, once inside a small boat tied up in the harbor, once sitting on a bench near the marina with my keys in my hand and no idea how I'd gotten there. Every time, there was this faint smell of salt water clinging to me. I checked the GPS again, not because I wanted to, but because I already knew what I'd find. More routes, new ones, all recorded in the middle of the night, all ending at the same coordinate offshore. Routes I had no memory of taking. I don't know how to explain it, but it gets harder every week to stay away from that place. It's like something pulls at me the longer I ignore it, like a pressure behind my thoughts nudging me back toward the water. Sometimes I wake up with my shoes on, sometimes with my keys in my pocket, even though I swear I left them across the room. And every time I check the jet ski, there's water dripping from the hull, as if it just got back from something, from somewhere. I'm telling you this because I don't know how much longer I can keep fighting it. I don't know what's waiting out at that buoy or why that exact coordinate matters so much. I only know the pattern. Someone gets the jet ski, things start happening at night. They try to get rid of it, they can't. And eventually, they stop trying. So if you ever see a listing like this, Yamaha VX Cruiser 2019, low hours, suspiciously cheap. Don't fall for it. Whatever that thing is, it isn't meant to be sold. It's meant to find someone, a new person to bring out there, to that same spot in the middle of the ocean, over and over again. My name is Tyler, and for $1,200, I almost became one more route on that GPS. Be smarter than I was, while you still can.